The first minutes after waking are more influential than they appear. Before the day becomes crowded with messages, duties, numbers, requests, and decisions, there is a brief threshold where the mind is unusually open. The body has returned from rest, but the familiar story of who you must be has not yet fully gathered around you. In those early moments, an old fear can enter quietly and begin directing the day before you know it has arrived. It may not announce itself as fear. It may sound responsible. It may sound humble. It may sound like caution, loyalty, realism, or good manners. It may say, "Do not expect too much." It may say, "Be grateful for what you have and ask for nothing else." It may say, "More responsibility will only exhaust you." It may say, "People will judge you if your life becomes easier." It may say, "You could lose everything, so do not grow attached." It may say, "Stay where you know the rules." These sentences can pass through the mind so quickly that they are mistaken for facts. They may feel like your own wisdom because you have heard them internally for so long. Yet a familiar thought is not always a true one. A repeated warning is not always a present danger. A protective response formed long ago does not have to remain in charge of every choice you make today. You may genuinely want greater comfort, stronger support, wider opportunity, and more room to breathe. At the same time, another part of you may tense when those things move closer. That tension does not make you ungrateful. It does not make you confused. It does not mean you are incapable of growth. It means there may be a place inside you that has linked expansion with risk. You can desire a better life and still fear what it might require of you. You can work toward stability and still feel unsettled when stability begins to appear. You can ask for a fair opportunity and then feel tempted to retreat when someone says yes. You can dream of being supported and then insist on carrying everything alone. You can want your work to be valued and still lower your price before anyone objects. You can hope for ease and then fill every open space with another task because ease feels unfamiliar. This inner conflict is more common than many people admit. The part of you that reaches forward is not false, and the part of you that pulls back is not your enemy. Both are trying to protect something. One is protecting your future. The other is protecting your familiarity. Familiarity can feel safer than fulfillment. The known struggle may feel more manageable than an unknown kind of peace. When you have spent a long time adapting to limitation, you learn its rhythms. You know how to prepare for disappointment. You know how to reduce your needs. You know how to explain away what you wanted. You know how to survive without asking too much from anyone. Those skills may have helped you through difficult years. They deserve acknowledgement. They do not have to become permanent rules. Sometimes the fear of having more is not a fear of the thing itself. It is a fear of who you might have to become around it. Will you still be accepted? Will people think you have changed? Will others expect more from you? Will you become responsible for everyone? Will you make the wrong choice? Will you know how to keep what you have built? Will you be permitted to rest once life becomes less difficult? The mind can turn growth into a long list of invisible consequences. It can take one possibility and surround it with imagined losses. Then, even when an opportunity is healthy, the nervous system may react as though you are being asked to step away from safety. You may recognize this when someone offers help, and your first answer is, "I am fine." You may feel it when praise reaches you, and you immediately explain why the praise is undeserved. You may see it when you finish meaningful work but feel embarrassed to speak about it. You may hear it when a new possibility appears and your mind begins listing every reason it probably will not last. You may sense it after an ordinary purchase that supports your life, when guilt follows you longer than the usefulness of what you bought. You may encounter it when you consider asking for better terms, clearer expectations, or fairer compensation, and a voice inside warns you not to be difficult. You may experience it when you postpone pleasure until every concern has disappeared, even though concerns have a way of replacing one another. You may call this discipline. You may call it patience. You may call it staying grounded. Sometimes it is an old alarm wearing respectable clothing. A guarded relationship with having more can shape hundreds of small decisions. It rarely appears only in dramatic moments. It can live in the way you hesitate before opening an important email. It can appear in the extra apology you attach to a reasonable request. It can be heard in the way you say, "It is not a big deal," when something matters deeply to you. It can show up when you keep your hopes vague so you will not have to feel exposed. It can show up when you prepare thoroughly but never present your work. It can show up when you wait to feel completely confident before taking a step that would naturally build confidence. It can show up when you reject support because accepting it would require you to admit that your needs are real. It can show up when you stay loyal to an underpaid role, an unequal arrangement, or an exhausting pattern because leaving would challenge an identity built around endurance. Endurance is valuable. It is not the only proof of strength. You do not have to remain uncomfortable to demonstrate that you are responsible. You do not have to struggle in public or private to prove that you deserve respect. You do not have to refuse what helps you in order to remain connected to people who once knew you during a harder chapter. Growth does not erase your history. Support does not make your effort meaningless. Greater capacity does not insult the version of you who learned how to survive with less. The earlier version of you did what was necessary. That version learned how to watch carefully, stretch resources, anticipate trouble, and continue when circumstances felt uncertain. You can honor those skills without asking them to control every future season. You are not betraying your past when you stop repeating its conditions. You are not rejecting your family when you question an inherited warning. You are not becoming selfish when you create enough room to care for yourself without resentment. You are not becoming careless when you stop treating every good development as a threat. A life with more steadiness may ask you to learn new skills, but it does not require you to abandon your values. You can become more supported and remain kind. You can become more visible and remain sincere. You can set clearer boundaries and remain loving. You can make thoughtful plans without living in constant expectation of loss. The fear often hides beneath behavior that looks sensible from the outside. You may check your account with your breath held, even when you already know what is there. You may delay looking at important information because knowing feels more frightening than uncertainty. You may repeatedly calculate what could go wrong, but rarely give equal attention to what could be handled well. You may choose the cheapest option automatically, even when it costs more in time, energy, repair, or replacement. You may refuse to invest in a useful tool for your work while spending many hours compensating for not having it. You may feel uneasy when someone else pays, gives, helps, or contributes. You may rush to repay kindness before you have fully received it. You may reduce your own comfort before anyone has asked you to do so. You may volunteer to carry the inconvenience, so no one can accuse you of asking too much. You may understate your experience. You may minimize your results. You may keep lowering the amount you request until it feels impossible for another person to reject. Then, when the arrangement becomes draining, you may tell yourself that you should be more appreciative. These patterns are not evidence that something is wrong with your character. They are signs of an inner agreement that may no longer serve you. The agreement might be, I am safest when I need less, or I am loved when I take up less space, or I avoid conflict by accepting whatever is offered, or I stay connected by never moving too far ahead. An inner agreement can guide a life without ever being spoken aloud. It can affect how you answer invitations. It can influence which opportunities you consider realistic. It can shape the amount of rest you believe you have earned. It can determine how long you remain in situations that no longer fit. It can even influence how much happiness you are willing to feel before you begin preparing for it to end. Some people learned early that good news should be followed by caution. Excitement was quickly corrected. Hope was treated as something that could tempt disappointment. A child might share a dream and hear, "Do not get your hopes up." An achievement might be met with, "Stay humble." A moment of comfort might be followed by a reminder that something could still go wrong. The adults who spoke these words may have believed they were offering protection. They may have known uncertainty, loss, instability, or sudden change. They may have been trying to teach resilience with the language available to them. The child, however, may have learned a different lesson. The child may have learned that joy makes you careless. The child may have learned that wanting creates danger. The child may have learned that success attracts criticism. The child may have learned that comfort must be defended. The child may have learned that feeling hopeful is an invitation to pain. These lessons can remain active long after the original circumstances have changed. You may be living in a different place, surrounded by different people, with new skills and greater choice, while your internal response is still organized around an old environment. This is why logic alone does not always resolve the fear. You may understand that an opportunity is good and still feel uneasy. You may know you are qualified and still hear a warning. You may recognize that support is available and still struggle to accept it. The thinking mind says, "This is helpful." The protective mind says, "Be careful." The body often listens to the oldest voice first. There is no need to shame yourself for this. Shame only adds another threat to a system that is already trying to keep you safe. Harshness does not create trust. Criticism does not teach the guarded part of you that growth can be handled with care. A wiser response begins with respect. You can say, "I understand why I learned to stay small." You can say, "I understand why certainty feels important." You can say, "I understand why accepting more support brings up old concerns." You can say, "Thank you for trying to protect me. We have more choices now." This is not pretending that every opportunity is right for you. It is not asking you to ignore caution, rush into commitments, or confuse expansion with excess. Discernment remains important. Clear information remains important. Practical planning remains important. The goal is not to say yes to everything. The goal is to become free enough to evaluate what is in front of you without an old fear making the decision before you do. A protected life is not always a peaceful life. You may avoid disappointment by expecting very little, but you also avoid the experience of discovering what you can handle. You may avoid criticism by staying unseen, but you also prevent the right people from recognizing your contribution. You may avoid the discomfort of asking, but you remain in arrangements that depend on your silence. You may avoid the responsibility that comes with growth, but you also delay the confidence that develops through practice. There is a difference between staying safe and staying confined. Safety includes choice. Confinement removes it. When fear is in charge, the choice is made before the facts are considered. The answer becomes no, not yet, not me, too risky, too much, before you have had time to ask what is actually true. What is the real cost? What support is available? What can be learned? What boundary would make this workable? What is the smallest responsible step? What part is fact, and what part is an old prediction? These are calmer questions. They do not demand blind optimism. They return you to the present. Fear speaks in absolutes. It says everything will change. Everyone will judge you. You will make a mistake. You will not know what to do. You will lose yourself. A grounded mind becomes more specific. Some things may change. Some people may not understand. A mistake may happen and can be addressed. You can learn what you do not yet know. You can grow without abandoning who you are. The fear of expansion often depends on the idea that your identity is fragile. It assumes that one success, one increase in responsibility, one visible achievement, or one period of greater ease will turn you into someone unrecognizable. Your character is not so easily taken from you. You can choose what you keep. You can decide how you treat people. You can remain honest in a larger room. You can stay generous without giving yourself away. You can remain teachable after becoming skilled. You can protect your time as your responsibilities increase. You can let your outer life develop while your inner values become clearer. Having more does not automatically create arrogance. Sometimes it reveals where humility has been confused with self-erasure. Humility does not require you to deny what you can do. It does not require you to act appreciation. It does not require you to make your work smaller so others remain comfortable. True humility lets you see yourself accurately. It lets you acknowledge your strengths without imagining that they make you more human than anyone else. It also lets you acknowledge your needs without imagining that they make you a burden. You can be equal without being invisible. You can be grateful without refusing improvement. You can be content today and still participate in creating a stronger tomorrow. Contentment and growth are not opposites. One says, I can be present with what is here. The other says, I can respond to what is possible. Together, they create steadiness. The mind that fears more often creates conditions that keep desire at a safe distance. You might plan endlessly and begin rarely. You might study every method and trust none of them long enough to see what works. You might wait for a feeling of total readiness that no real beginning can provide. You might change direction each time progress makes you visible. You might abandon a useful routine as soon as it begins producing results because consistency creates expectations. You might create unnecessary difficulty, then feel more familiar inside the difficulty than you did inside the improvement. This does not mean you secretly want to fail. It means a part of you may associate struggle with identity, belonging, or control. If struggle has been a central part of your story, life without constant strain can feel strangely empty at first. You may wonder who you are when you are not fixing, worrying, proving, recovering, or preparing for the next problem. Rest can feel unproductive. Help can feel intrusive. Ease can feel suspicious. A clear path can feel too simple. You may unconsciously create extra obstacles because obstacles return you to a familiar role, the one who survives. Survival strength is real strength. Now you are learning another form. You are learning the strength to remain present when something goes well. You are learning the strength to accept a compliment without pushing it away. You are learning the strength to let support reach you. You are learning the strength to ask a clear question and wait for the answer. You are learning the strength to make decisions without rehearsing every possible disaster. You are learning the strength to continue after progress instead of retreating from it. You are learning the strength to be seen without performing perfection. This kind of strength may feel quieter. It may not produce the same rush as crisis. It may not be recognized by people who only understand effort when it looks painful. It is still real. A calmer life requires capacity. It asks you to tolerate space. It asks you to make decisions without panic as motivation. It asks you to stop using urgency as proof that something matters. It asks you to build routines before a crisis forces them. It asks you to trust steady action more than dramatic rescue. You may have trained yourself to move only when discomfort becomes unbearable. Then every change begins late and under pressure. A different way is possible. You can respond earlier. You can make adjustments while you still have options. You can ask for guidance before confusion becomes shame. You can review the facts before fear fills in the blanks. You do not have to wait until you are desperate to become deserving of support. You do not have to reach exhaustion before rest becomes legitimate. You do not have to prove that a situation is unbearable before changing it. You do not have to explain your needs through suffering. Your needs are easier to honor when you speak about them before they become emergencies. This may require you to disappoint the version of yourself who was praised for needing nothing. It may require you to question the identity of being endlessly capable. It may require you to stop equating independence with isolation. Healthy support does not take your power. It can help you use your power more wisely. Healthy support does not erase your contribution. It can keep your contribution from consuming you. Healthy support does not make you dependent by default. It can give you a clearer choice about where your energy belongs. You may also fear that having more will make others want more from you. This concern can be grounded in real experience. Some people do respond to another person's growth with expectation, entitlement, comparison, or pressure. Your fear may be reminding you of times when your generosity was treated as an obligation. The answer is not to block every form of growth. The answer includes boundaries. You can become more resourced without becoming endlessly available. You can help without rescuing. You can give without proving. You can care without carrying responsibilities that belong to another adult. You can say no without creating a long defense. You can pause before agreeing. You can ask for time. You can separate love from access. You can separate generosity from guilt. This matters because greater capacity without boundaries can recreate the very exhaustion you fear. The guarded part of you may not be afraid of comfort itself. It may be afraid that comfort will be taken, assigned, demanded, or used as evidence that you should carry more for everyone else. That fear deserves a clear answer. What you build does not belong automatically to every person who can see it. Your time remains yours to direct. Your energy remains worthy of protection. Your resources can be handled with care. Your compassion does not require unlimited access. you are permitted to decide what responsibility is truly yours. As this becomes clearer, the idea of greater support no longer has to mean greater exposure. You can expand and remain protected by wise choices. You can become more capable without becoming responsible for everything. You can let life improve without opening every door to every request. The fear may also appear as perfectionism. You may tell yourself that you must understand everything before accepting a new role. You may believe you must never make an error once others trust you. You may imagine that greater opportunity removes your right to learn in public. You may demand a level of certainty from yourself that no one could reasonably provide. Perfectionism offers a false bargain. It says you may move forward only after you have removed every possibility of embarrassment, correction, or regret. Since that condition can never be met, the fear remains protected from change. Competence is not the absence of learning. Readiness is not the absence of nerves. Responsibility is not the ability to control every result. You can prepare well and still meet the unexpected. You can make a thoughtful choice and later revise it. You can accept an opportunity and ask questions. You can become visible while remaining human. You can grow into a role rather than arriving fully formed. There is dignity in learning. There is dignity in asking. There is dignity in saying, I need more information. There is dignity in saying, this arrangement no longer works for me. There is dignity in saying, I am ready to consider something better. The old fear may interpret these statements as danger. It may tighten the chest, shorten the breath, or flood the mind with reasons to postpone. This response does not have to be obeyed immediately. You can pause. You can place your feet on the floor. You can lengthen your breath. You can wait until the body is less activated. You can return to the facts. A feeling can be honored without being placed in command. This is one of the most important distinctions you can practice. Fear deserves listening, but not automatic authority. It may carry information. It may also carry history. Your task is to learn the difference. Present information is specific. History is sweeping. Present information says, review the agreement carefully. History says, nothing good lasts. Present information says, ask what support is included. History says, you will be left alone with everything. Present information says, consider the timing. History says, you always ruin opportunities. Present information helps you prepare. History tries to stop you from participating. You are capable of becoming a more accurate listener to your own inner world. You can hear the warning without becoming the warning. You can thank the protective response and still choose a different action. The first waking minutes can become a place where this new relationship begins. Before old expectations rush in, you can meet yourself with one clear truth. I do not have to fear every form of growth. You do not need to force the statement. You do not need to feel complete agreement yet. Let it stand as a new possibility. You can return to it when your mind predicts judgment. You can see sight and return to it when support feels unfamiliar. You can return to it when a reasonable request feels too bold. You can return to it when your progress creates the urge to retreat. You can return to it when you are tempted to make yourself smaller in order to preserve an old form of belonging. A new inner direction does not have to arrive with certainty. It can begin as willingness. Willingness to question the warning. Willingness to remain present. Willingness to learn. Willingness to take one responsible step. Willingness to discover that you can hold more choice without losing your center. This work is not about becoming someone who always wants more. It is about becoming someone who can meet possibility without automatically shrinking. It is about choosing from clarity rather than inherited fear. It is about letting your values, judgment, and present circumstances have a stronger voice than a warning learned in another time. You are not required to chase. You are not required to prove. You are not required to force an outcome. You are being invited to become honest about the places where fear has been making decisions in the name of safety. Honesty is not accusation. It is the beginning of alignment. You can look at your patterns without turning them into evidence against yourself. You can see where you undercut your own request, where you apologize for existing, where you refuse useful support, and where you postpone relief. You can see these things with the same patience you would offer someone learning a new movement after years of holding the body in one guarded position. Nothing changes through contempt. Much can change through clear, repeated attention. The day does not need to begin with the oldest warning. A different sentence can cross the threshold first. A different posture can meet the hours ahead. A different response can become available when opportunity, support, visibility, or responsibility appears. You can begin without forcing yourself to feel fearless. You only need enough steadiness to stop treating fear as prophecy. The fear did not begin with a flaw in you. It began through exposure. Long before you could examine an idea, you were already absorbing the emotional meaning attached to work, comfort, asking, spending, saving, success, and need. You learned through words, but you also learned through silence. You learned from the faces around you. You learned from tension in the room. You learned from what could be discussed openly and what had to remain hidden. A child does not need a formal lesson to understand that resources are a source of fear. The child hears the sharp change in an adult's voice when a bill arrives. The child sees the hesitation before a purchase. The child senses conflict when one person asks and another person refuses. The child hears worry spoken behind a closed door. The child observes how quickly joy is reduced when cost is mentioned. The child learns who is permitted to want and who is praised for going without. You may have grown up hearing that there was never enough. You may have been told that people with comfortable lives were selfish, dishonest, lucky, shallow, or disconnected from ordinary struggle. You may have heard that wanting improvement was greedy. You may have watched someone work constantly and still feel ashamed whenever they rested. You may have seen generosity used as proof of love, even when it left the giver exhausted. You may have learned that a good person always sacrifices first. You may have learned that asking questions was disrespectful. You may have learned that discussing compensation was rude. You may have learned that accepting help created a debt that could never be fully repaid. These lessons may never have been stated directly. They may have been communicated through reactions. Someone complimented a successful person, and the room became cold. Someone bought something useful, and another person criticized the choice for weeks. Someone asked for fair treatment, and they were called difficult. Someone rested after completing their work, and they were called lazy. Someone changed their circumstances, and the family accused them of forgetting where they came from. A young mind pays close attention to what protects belonging. Belonging is essential to a child. If being visible causes conflict, the child learns to hide. If wanting creates tension, the child learns to want quietly. If receiving something good leads to criticism, the child learns to reduce excitement before anyone else can take it away. This is adaptation, not weakness. You were learning how to remain connected to the people you depended on. You were learning how to move through the emotional climate around you. You may have made decisions internally that were intelligent for that season. I will not ask for much. I will not become a problem. I will take care of myself. I will be easy to manage. I will stay close to what everyone understands. I will not make others uncomfortable with my hopes. I will never need what cannot be provided. These decisions can become so deeply practiced that adulthood feels like proof that they were always true. You may still feel pride in being the person who asks for nothing. You may still feel anxious when someone offers support without requiring struggle first. You may still hide good news until you are certain no one will react badly. You may still reduce your goals before sharing them with others. You may still confuse self-denial with maturity. The younger self who formed these rules was not foolish. That self was observant. That self recognized what brought approval and what brought tension. That self responded with the tools available at the time. Now you have tools that were not available then. You can examine a rule. You can question its cost. You can identify the source without blaming the person who passed it to. you. You can choose which values remain and which fears end with you. Not every inherited idea was harmful. You may have learned creativity, care, patience, responsibility, cooperation, and respect for effort. You may have learned how to repair, reuse, prepare, and persevere. These strengths deserve to remain. Healing does not require rejecting everything you were taught. It requires discernment, You can keep resourcefulness without keeping chronic alarm. You can keep humility without keeping self-erasure. You can keep generosity without keeping guilt. You can keep discipline without keeping deprivation. You can keep appreciation without making improvement forbidden. You can keep loyalty without repeating every hardship. This distinction matters. When change is framed as betrayal, the mind resists it. When change is framed as a more mature expression of the values you already hold, it becomes easier to approach. You are not abandoning responsibility by becoming less afraid. You are practicing responsibility with clearer eyes. You are not insulting people who struggled before you. You are making use of what their effort helped make possible. You are not claiming that circumstances never matter. You are becoming more aware of the inner reactions that affect what you do within those circumstances. Real pressure cannot always be resolved through inner work alone. These affirmations are meant to support your mindset. They are not financial advice. Practical difficulty may require a clear budget, direct communication, community support, legal information, debt counseling, employment guidance, or help from a qualified professional. Seeking skilled assistance is not a failure of faith or character. It is a responsible action. Inner practice and practical action can stand together. One helps you meet the facts with less shame. The other helps you respond to the facts with useful steps. A calm sentence cannot replace income, housing, health care, or fair treatment. It can, however, help you approach a difficult conversation without collapsing into self-blame. It can help you look at information you have been avoiding. It can help you ask for support earlier. It can help you stop confusing panic with preparation. This is why changing an inner pattern matters without needing to make exaggerated promises about what it can do. Your inner story influences what you look for. It influences what you dismiss. It influences what you interpret as possible. It influences whether you ask a second question or accept the first answer. It influences whether you prepare, postpone, speak, hide, learn, or leave. When you expect rejection, your attention becomes trained to find signs of it. A neutral delay may feel like proof that you are unwanted. A request for clarification may feel like criticism. A negotiation may feel like conflict. You may withdraw before the other person has actually said no. When you expect loss, you may focus so intense, rely on what could disappear, that you have little attention left for what can be maintained, improved, ensured, documented, reviewed, or supported. When you expect shame, you may avoid looking closely at facts. Avoidance then allows confusion to grow, and the growing confusion seems to confirm that the situation is too difficult to face. The original expectation shapes attention. Attention shapes interpretation. Interpretation affects action. Action influences what happens next. This is not magic. It is a human pattern. Suppose you carry the idea that asking is dangerous. You may speak indirectly, reduce your request, or avoid making it at all. Other people then receive incomplete information. They may not understand what you need. Their limited response may reinforce your conclusion that asking never helps. Suppose you carry the idea that success creates rejection. You may hide your abilities, decline opportunities, or stop just before your work becomes visible. The lack of recognition may then appear to prove that your contribution has little value. Suppose you carry the idea that you cannot handle greater responsibility. You may avoid learning, planning, or seeking guidance because every step feels like evidence that you are already overwhelmed. Without practice, confidence remains low. The low confidence then seems to confirm the original idea. The pattern repeats not because the thought is destiny, but because it influences behavior. Once you understand this, you gain a place to intervene. You can ask, what am I predicting? You can ask, what action does this prediction make me avoid? You can ask, what would I do differently if I did not treat this fear as certain? The answer may be small. You may send one message. You may read one document. You may compare two options. You may ask a trusted person for perspective. You may state a price without apologizing. You may review a decision after your body has settled. You may say, I need time to think. These actions are not dramatic. Their power comes from repetition. Each time you respond with greater clarity, you teach yourself that fear can be present without controlling the outcome. Your self-talk also shapes how long you remain engaged. When a setback occurs, an old pattern may say, I knew this would happen. I should never have tried. A more accurate response says, this did not go as hoped. What information does it give me? The first response turns one event into a permanent identity. The second response keeps the event specific. Specific language protects your ability to learn. There is a difference between I made a poor decision and I am incapable of making good decisions. There is a difference between this request was declined and no one will ever value my work. There is a difference between I need help understanding this and I should already know everything. There is a difference between I feel afraid and I am unsafe. The old mind often speaks globally. It takes one painful moment and applies it to every future possibility. It uses always, never, everyone, no one, impossible, and hopeless. These words create a closed room inside thought. A steadier mind names what happened without enlarging it. This conversation was difficult. This choice needs review. This plan needs more information. This cost is not workable right now. This person did not respect my boundary. This opportunity is not the right fit. This season is demanding. These statements can be serious without becoming final judgments about your worth or future. When you speak to yourself accurately, courage becomes more available. Courage does not mean you expect every result to be pleasant. It means you trust your ability to respond. This trust is central to loosening the fear of having more. You do not need a guarantee that nothing will change. You need growing confidence that you can meet change thoughtfully. You do not need proof that no one will judge you. You need stronger loyalty to your own values when judgment appears. You do not need certainty that every decision will be perfect. You need a process for reviewing, correcting, and learning. You do not need to know everything in advance. You need willingness to ask for the next piece of information. Fear tries to make certainty the price of participation. Life rarely offers that price. Participation requires something more practical, enough trust to take the next responsible step. You build that trust through evidence. Each boundary you keep becomes evidence. Each honest conversation becomes evidence. Each time you review the facts instead of avoiding them becomes evidence. Each time you accept appropriate support becomes evidence. Each time you survive another person's disappointment becomes evidence. Each time you learn from a mistake without attacking yourself becomes evidence. The mind changes through experience as well as language. A new sentence opens the possibility, and a new action helps establish it. This is why affirmations are strongest when they are not used to deny reality. A useful statement does not demand that you pretend to feel something you do not feel. It gives you a direction that your actions can begin to support. If you are deeply afraid, saying, "I have no fear," may create immediate resistance. Your body knows that fear is present. A bridge statement may feel more honest. I am learning to make clear choices even when I feel uncertain. I am becoming more comfortable with support. I am practicing asking without apologizing. I am learning that growth and integrity can exist together. These statements do not require you to manufacture certainty. They name movement. Movement is enough. A belief becomes less powerful when it is no longer invisible. Once you can name it, you can examine whether it belongs to the present. You can ask who first taught it, what it was trying to prevent, and what it has cost you. You might discover that He rule never depend on anyone, protected you from disappointment, but also made partnership difficult. You might discover that the rule do not expect too much, protected you from embarrassment, but also kept your goals too small. You might discover that the rule always choose the least expensive option, protected you from immediate discomfort, but sometimes created greater costs later. You might discover that the rule, keep everyone happy, protected you from conflict, but left you overcommitted and resentful. You might discover that the rule, stay humble, became a reason to hide your contribution. Seeing the cost does not require anger toward the past. You can understand why a rule formed and still decide not to renew it. You can appreciate its original purpose and acknowledge that it has become too restrictive. You can say, "This helped me once. It no longer gets to decide everything." There may be grief in this process. You may grieve the years spent minimizing yourself. You may grieve opportunities you did not pursue. You may grieve the support you refused because you did not know how to accept it. You may grieve how hard you worked to earn what should have been offered with basic respect. Let the grief be honest without using it as another reason to punish yourself. You made choices with the understanding, capacity, and circumstances available to you then. Awareness changes what becomes possible now. That is enough reason to treat this moment with care. You cannot return to every previous decision. You can become more present in the next one. The next time you want to say, "It is fine," you can pause and ask whether it is actually fine. The next time you reduce your request before speaking, you can state it clearly once. The next time praise arrives, you can say thank you without explaining it away. The next time guilt follows a reasonable act of self-support, you can recognize the guilt as a learned response rather than a command. The next time you feel tempted to hide progress, you can choose one trustworthy person with whom to share it. The next time an opportunity appears, you can gather information before rejecting it. These moments may look ordinary. They are where change becomes real. A different inner life is built inside ordinary decisions. It is built when you stop apologizing for a clear boundary. It is built when you choose information over imagination. It is built when you let another person contribute. It is built when you admit that an arrangement is unfair. It is built when you stay with a task after the first wave of self-doubt. It is built when you let your effort count. It is built when you make room for rest before exhaustion demands it. You may still hear the old voice. The goal is not to destroy it. The goal is to recognize that it is one voice, not the whole of you. There is also a thoughtful adult voice. There is a practical voice. There is a voice that can consider context. There is a voice that knows how to ask for help. There is a voice that can choose without rushing. There is a voice that can say no. There is a voice that can say yes carefully. There is a voice that can remain steady when something good feels unfamiliar. That voice becomes clearer through use. You strengthen it each time you answer an old warning with a present fact. Old warning: if I ask, I will be rejected. Present fact: I can ask respectfully, and the answer will give me useful information. Old warning: if I become successful, people will leave. Present fact: healthy relationships can adjust, and I can grieve relationships that depend on my limitation. Old warning: if I have more, I will become selfish. Present fact: I can choose generosity with boundaries. Old warning: if life becomes easier, something bad will follow. Present fact, ease does not cause harm. I can appreciate a calm period without predicting punishment. Old warning, if I make one mistake, I will lose everything. Present fact, many mistakes can be corrected, learned from, or managed through planning and support. These responses are not guarantees. They are more balanced ways of thinking. Balance creates room for wiser decisions. You may have been taught to trust fear because fear sounds serious. Fear speaks quickly. It presents itself as urgent intelligence. It claims that worry is proof of responsibility. Worry and responsibility are not the same. Responsibility looks at facts. Responsibility asks questions. Responsibility considers consequences. Responsibility creates a plan. Responsibility seeks appropriate guidance. Worry repeats the same prediction without producing a useful next step. You can learn to ask, is this thought helping me prepare, or is it keeping me activated? Preparation has an end point. You gather the information, you make the call, you update the plan, you take the action. Repetitive fear has no natural completion. It tells you to think again, check again, rehearse again, and delay again. It promises relief after one more round, but rarely provides it. When you recognize this cycle, you can interrupt it with action or rest. If there is something useful to do, do the next part. If there is nothing useful to do right now, step away. You do not need to remain mentally on duty every hour to prove that you care. This is especially important when you are rebuilding trust in your own capacity. Constant monitoring sends the message that you are always one moment away from disaster. Thoughtful review sends a different message. I can pay attention at the right time and live my life in between. You are allowed to create structure. You are allowed to have designated times for reviewing practical matters. You're allowed to close the document after you have completed the task. You're allowed to seek expert help when the situation exceeds your knowledge. You're allowed to rest while a decision is pending. Your nervous system does not need to hold every unfinished matter continuously. The more you practice this, the more your inner world learns that responsibility can feel steady. It does not have to feel like alarm. Steadiness changes behavior downstream. You become more likely to look at information earlier. You become more likely to ask a clear question. You become more likely to compare choices. You become less likely to agree from panic. You become less likely to reject support automatically. You become more able to recognize when an old reaction is shaping a present decision. This is how inner change can influence outer life without pretending to control every event. It changes the person who meets the event. It changes the quality of attention brought to the decision. It changes the words used in the conversation. It changes whether you remain engaged after discomfort appears. It changes whether shame keeps you isolated or honesty moves you towards support. These shifts matter. They may not be dramatic at first. You may only recognize them afterward. You may realize that you asked one more question than usual. You may realize that you did not immediately lower your request. You may realize that you accepted help and did not rush to repay it. You may realize that you made a practical choice without punishing yourself. You may realize that a good moment passed without you predicting its end. These are signs of a new internal relationship. You are teaching yourself that having more choice does not have to mean having more fear. You are teaching yourself that growth can be approached with skill. You are teaching yourself that support can be evaluated rather than rejected. You are teaching yourself that your values can remain stable while your circumstances change. The fear was learned through repetition. Trust can also be learned through repetition, not through forced positivity, not through denying real difficulty, not through blaming yourself for every outcome, through honest language, through informed action, through clear boundaries, through patient correction, through repeated evidence that you can meet life without becoming smaller first. The past may explain your reaction. It does not have to dictate your response. You can honor where the fear was learned and still decide that it will not write the next chapter of your choices. A long mirror does not ask a dancer to become someone else. It reflects what is already present. In a quiet studio, the mirror stretches across the wall from one end of the room to the other. It holds every movement without argument. It does not praise one step and punish the next. It does not tell the dancer that a small correction means failure. It offers information. The shoulder is lifted. The weight is falling too far forward. The jaw is tight. The feet are not yet moving in agreement with the rest of the body. The dancer looks, adjusts, and tries again. This is not judgment. This is alignment. A person who has never trained in a studio might think that facing such a large reflection for hours would increase self-criticism. Yet the purpose of that mirror is not to create obsession with appearance. Its highest purpose is to help the dancer feel what the body is doing and compare that feeling with what is actually happening. The body may feel centered while leaning to one side. The movement may feel small while appearing tense. The dancer may believe the arms are open while the reflection shows that the chest is still guarded. Without the mirror, habit can feel correct because habit is familiar. With the mirror, familiarity is no longer mistaken for alignment. This is the kind of honest relationship you are learning to have with yourself. For a long time, your internal reflection may have been distorted by fear. You looked at a desire and saw danger. You looked at support and saw obligation. You looked at growth and saw distance from the people you love. You looked at rest and saw laziness. You looked at your strengths and saw a reason to reduce yourself. The reflection was not neutral. It carried old instruction. Now you are standing before a clearer surface. You are not here to attack what you see. You are here to understand your position. Where do you tense? Where do you pull back? Where do you overextend to compensate? Where do you hold your breath while trying to look composed? Where does the body of your life move one way while your words claim you are going another? These questions do not accuse you, they help you align. A dancer can repeat a movement hundreds of times. The correction may appear tiny to someone watching from outside. A shift of the ribs, a softer knee, a steadier point of focus, a more honest placement of the foot. The change is small, the effect is not. When one part returns to its proper place, the whole movement becomes more stable. Less effort is wasted. The dancer no longer has to force balance through tension. The body begins to cooperate with itself. Your inner work can happen in the same way. You do not have to rebuild every part of your life today. You can begin with one correction. You can stop lowering your voice at the moment you state what you need. You can pause before turning praise into an argument. You can keep your shoulders relaxed while listening to an offer. You can let yourself consider an option before explaining why it cannot work. You can remain in the conversation a little longer. A small adjustment can reveal how much energy was being spent maintaining an old position. You may have become skilled at appearing calm while your inner world braces. You may answer kindly, work carefully, and meet expectations while a private tension runs beneath every decision. Because you have practiced functioning this way, others may not see the cost. You may not always see it either. The mirror helps by showing what habit has hidden. It shows when strength has become rigidity. It shows when humility has become disappearance. It shows when care has become overextension. It shows when caution has become refusal. It shows when responsibility has become constant tension. The mirror does not demand that you hate the old posture. That posture may have helped you remain steady in a difficult environment. The dancer does not despise the body for compensating. The dancer learns why the compensation developed and practices another way. This is important. You cannot create true alignment through humiliation. If you look at yourself and say, "I should be better by now," the body contracts. If you say, "I cannot believe I still do this," the mind becomes defensive. If you treat every hesitation as evidence of failure, you make honesty unsafe. A useful mirror must be met with kindness. Kindness does not mean avoiding correction. It means correction without contempt. You can say, "I see where I pull away." You can say, "I understand why this feels familiar." You can say, "I am ready to practice another position." That is enough. In the studio, a dancer may face the same mirror day after day. The reflection is never exactly the same because the dancer is never exactly the same. Some days the body is rested. Some days it is tired. Some days a movement that felt natural yesterday becomes difficult again. Progress is not erased by fluctuation. The mirror shows the truth of this day. You also need a practice that makes room for today's truth. There may be days when you feel open, capable, and clear. On those days, a new choice may feel natural. There may be other days when the old alarm returns with force. A conversation may remind you of an earlier experience. A delay may awaken the expectation of disappointment. A request may leave you feeling exposed. This does not mean your work has failed. It means you have returned to the mirror. You are seeing what needs attention now. The dancer does not say, "I corrected this once, so it should never appear again." The dancer works with repetition because the body learns through repetition. Under stress, it returns to what has been practiced most. Your reactions do the same. When pressure rises, you may return to pleasing. You may return to silence. You may return to overworking. You may return to refusing help. You may return to making yourself easy to overlook. This return is not a final decision. It is a signal that the newer response needs more practice. Practice is not punishment. It is how a different response becomes available under pressure. You can rehearse speaking clearly before a difficult conversation. You can rehearse saying, "Let me think about that." You can rehearse saying, "That does not work for me." You can rehearse accepting a compliment with 2 words, "Thank you." You can rehearse remaining quiet after stating your request instead of filling the silence with concessions. You can rehearse asking, "What information do I need?" before deciding. These are movements of self-respect. At first, they may feel unnatural. The old posture has been held for years. A more balanced position can feel strange because the body has not yet learned that it can be supported there. Strange does not mean wrong. Unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. The dancer may feel as though the corrected position is exaggerated. The mirror shows that it is actually centered. This is one of the most valuable lessons the studio teaches. Your internal sense may need time to catch up with a healthier position. A fair request may feel excessive. A clear boundary may feel cruel. A quiet day may feel irresponsible. A moment of pride may feel arrogant. Accepting support may feel dependent. The feeling is real. The interpretation may be old. You can use the reflection of present facts to check the position. Was the request respectful? Was the boundary necessary? Was the rest appropriate? Was the appreciation honest? Was the support freely offered and healthy to accept? Facts help you determine whether you are actually out of line or only standing differently than you did before. For someone trained to take very little space, ordinary self-respect can initially feel enormous. For someone trained to anticipate every need, letting another person manage their own responsibility can feel neglectful. For someone trained to hide achievement, speaking accurately about experience can feel like boasting. The mirror offers correction. It says, "Look again. You are not taking everything. You are taking your place. You are not abandoning others. You are returning their responsibilities to them. You are not claiming superiority. You are acknowledging what you have learned. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. These corrections may need to be repeated until they begin to feel natural. There is no shame in repetition. A dancer does not resent the basic movement because it has been practiced before. Returning to the foundation creates freedom. The more securely the body knows its alignment, the more fully it can move. Your foundation is the way you speak to yourself. Every decision is affected by the tone of that inner instruction. A harsh teacher creates a tense performer. A wise teacher creates attention. You are becoming the wise teacher within your own reflection. You do not scream when the old response appears. You do not turn one error into a judgment about the whole person. You do not compare today's practice with someone else's finished performance. You observe, you correct, you repeat, you continue. This approach protects dignity while making change possible. Look at the places where you have confused fear with alignment. You may have believed that staying small kept you balanced, yet the position required constant tension. You may have believed that refusing help made you strong, yet the refusal left you exhausted. You may have believed that hiding your needs preserved harm, yet unspoken needs became resentment. You may have believed that never asking protected you from rejection, yet it also protected others from knowing you honestly. The mirror is not interested in the story you use to justify the posture. It shows the result of the posture. Are you steady? Can you breathe? Can you remain present? Can you move without collapsing into guilt? Can you hold your position without attacking anyone else? Can you adjust without abandoning yourself? This is alignment. It is not a perfect appearance. It is cooperation within. Your values, words, actions, and boundaries begin moving in the same direction. You no longer say you respect yourself while agreeing to what repeatedly diminishes you. You no longer say you want support while rejecting every trustworthy form of it. You no longer say you are ready for change while obeying each familiar warning without examination. You begin reducing the distance between what you say matters and what you practice. That distance may not close immediately. You close it one movement at a time. Today, you may identify one place where you are leaning away from what you want. Do not force yourself upright through anger. Bring your attention to the position. Ask what you fear would happen if you move toward greater alignment. The answer may surprise you. You may fear becoming visible. You may fear being expected to maintain a new standard. You may fear that a better situation will expose how tired you are. You may fear choosing differently from the people around you. You may fear discovering that you are capable, because capability may bring new responsibility. You may fear relief because relief creates space to feel what constant effort kept hidden. Every answer deserves patience. The goal is not to win an argument against yourself. The goal is to understand what must feel safer for change to continue. A dancer who does not trust the floor will not move freely. A person who does not trust their boundaries may fear every increase in responsibility. A person who does not trust their judgment may fear every new choice. A person who does not trust their ability to correct mistakes may fear every opportunity to act. The fear of having more often softens as self-trust becomes stronger. Not trust that every outcome will be favorable. Trust that you will stay with yourself through the outcome. Trust that you will ask for help when needed. Trust that you will review the facts. Trust that you will not turn one mistake into a life sentence. Trust that you will protect what matters. Trust that you can step back from what is not healthy. This trust changes the way you stand before possibility. You no longer need to shrink in advance. You no longer need to reject before evaluating. You no longer need to prove that you can carry everything without assistance. You can look directly at what is present. You can see both with opportunity and responsibility. You can see both desire and cost. You can see both excitement and uncertainty. You can hold more than one truth without becoming confused. This is an adult form of balance. The studio mirror teaches that alignment is not stiffness. A rigid body cannot move well. It may appear controlled, but the movement lacks responsiveness. True balance includes the ability to adjust. Your inner steadiness also needs flexibility. You can change your mind when new information appears. You can update a plan. You can ask for different terms. You can admit that a goal no longer fits. You can choose a slower pace. You can recognize that one form of growth is not right for you without returning to the conclusion that all growth is dangerous. Flexibility keeps discernment alive. The old fear may offer only two positions: stay exactly where you are or lose control completely. The mirror reveals many positions between those extremes. You can take a small step. You can gather more information. You can ask for support. You can try a limited commitment. You can create a boundary before agreeing. You can review after a set period. You can move carefully without refusing to move. This is how safety and development begin to work together. You do not have to force a dramatic transformation. You can practice standing in a position that is slightly more open than yesterday. You can let one kind word remain uncorrected. You can accept one appropriate offer. You can state one preference. You can protect 1 hour of your time. You can let one achievement belong to you without reducing it. Each action teaches the inner body that a new posture is possible. Soon, the mirror begins to show something different. The shoulders are not carrying the whole room. The breath is not trapped high in the chest. The gaze is steadier. The movement is less apologetic. The dancer does not become louder for the sake of being seen. The dancer becomes more fully present. This is what you are practicing. Presence, not performance. Clarity, not display. Capacity, not excess. A person who is aligned does not need to prove worth through constant expansion. They are able to consider what supports their life and what does not. They can welcome an opportunity without worshiping it. They can decline an offer without fearing that nothing else will ever appear. They can appreciate progress without making progress their entire identity. You are not trying to become endlessly hungry. You are learning not to starve your own life through fear. You are not being asked to take what is not yours. You are learning to stop pushing away what is appropriate, fair, and supportive. You are not practicing superiority. You are practicing the ability to remain yourself in a wider range of circumstances. Let the mirror become kind. Let it show you the old position without calling you wrong. Let it show you the core, action without demanding perfection. Let it remind you that alignment is learned. Now place one sentence before your inner reflection. Do not rush past it. Let each word stand in its proper position. I align with more and remain myself. You do not need to make the sentence larger. You do not need to decorate it. You do not need to prove it. I align with more and remain myself. There may be resistance. A part of you may answer, "How can you know?" A part of you may say, "More always changes people." A part of you may remember examples that seem to prove the warning. Do not argue. Return to the mirror. Your choices determine how you live. Your values can remain active. Your boundaries can become stronger. Your awareness can deepen. You are not powerless before change. Say the sentence again with less demand. I align with more and remain myself. Perhaps the word more feels too large today. Let it become specific. More support, more clarity, more rest, more confidence in your decisions, more room to ask questions, more ability to choose, more honesty about what works. The sentence is not promising that every desire will become reality. It is teaching you that improvement does not require self-abandonment. That is the correction. The old posture says, if I move forward, I lose myself. The aligned posture says, I can move while staying connected to who I am. If the full sentence still creates tension, use the smaller line. I am becoming safer with having more. Let this be practice, not a test. I am becoming safer with having more. The word becoming creates room. You are not claiming completion. You are naming direction. I am becoming safer with having more. You may repeat this before an important conversation. You may repeat it after accepting help. You may repeat it when guilt follows a reasonable choice. You may repeat it when the urge to retreat appears. then look again. Is the new position truly dangerous, or does it only feel unfamiliar? Are you losing yourself, or are you finally standing where you can see yourself clearly? The long mirror remains quiet. It does not command. It reflects. It waits while you adjust. You can take the time you need. You can learn the movement. You can become more steady in the presence of possibility. You can face your own reflection without turning it into an enemy. You can let correction become care. You can let practice become trust. You can let the person in the mirror grow without accusing that person of leaving anyone behind. You are still here. Your values are still here. Your capacity to choose is still here. Stand where you can see that clearly. Receiving becomes difficult when every good thing seems to require an apology. You may accept support and immediately begin planning how to repay it. You may hear appreciation and rush to name everyone else who helped. You may be offered a fair opportunity and feel compelled to explain why you do not expect special treatment. You may experience relief and then create another burden so that no one can accuse you of becoming comfortable. This reflex can be so quick that you barely recognize it. Something reaches you. Guilt rises. You reduce the experience before it has time to settle. The old inner position says that having more than you had before must be justified. It says you must prove that you are still humble, still hardworking, still loyal, still deserving of belonging. You may believe that the safest way to remain a good person is to make sure nothing rests easily in your hands. Yet goodness is not measured by discomfort. Integrity is not proven by rejection. Gratitude does not require self-denial. You can appreciate what supports you without turning appreciation into a debt against your own life. Stand before the inner mirror again. Look at what happens when something healthy is offered. Does your posture close? Does your mind search for a reason to decline? Do you begin describing why someone else needs it more? Do you assume that accepting will make you responsible for another person's feelings? Do you imagine that one yes will remove your right to say no later? These reactions contain information. They may show that giving and receiving were never balanced in the environment where you learned them. Help may have arrived with conditions. Gifts may have been remembered during conflict. Support may have been used to claim access, obedience, or loyalty. If so, hesitation makes sense. You are not required to accept every offer. You are not required to trust every giver. You are not required to call a hidden obligation generosity. Clear receiving includes discernment. A dancer does not follow every correction offered by every voice in the room. The dancer learns which guidance is skilled, respectful, and aligned with the work. In the same way, you can examine what is being offered and the spirit in which it is given. Is the offer clear? Is there an unspoken expectation? Can you accept without surrendering a boundary? Can you ask questions? Can you change your mind? Can you remain equal? A healthy offer leaves room for your agency. It does not pressure you to decide immediately. It does not make affection conditional. It does not require you to ignore discomfort. It does not demand permanent access to your time. It does not turn your gratitude into ownership. You can receive what is clean and decline what is not. This distinction helps the guarded part of you relax. It learns that openness does not mean helplessness. You are not standing without judgment or choice. You are becoming more capable of recognizing what truly supports your life. Sometimes the offer itself is healthy, but guilt still appears because you were taught that needing anything lowers your value. You may howl. I've been praised for being unusually independent. You may have learned to solve problems quietly. You may have become the dependable one. You may have built an identity around carrying your own weight and then carrying some of everyone else's as well. This identity may have earned admiration. It may also have hidden your exhaustion. When people repeatedly say, "You are so strong," you may hear, "Do not let us see your limits." When they say, "You always figure it out," you may hear, "Do not ask us to help." When they say, "I do not know how you do everything," you may hear, "Keep doing everything." The praise may be sincere, but the role can become restrictive. You are allowed to be strong and supported. You are allowed to be capable and human. You are allowed to know many things and still ask a question. You are allowed to contribute without becoming the entire structure. The mirror shows whether your strength is aligned or strained. Aligned strength lets you breathe. Strained strength never puts anything down. Aligned strength knows when effort is needed. Strained strength treats rest as danger. Aligned strength can accept another person's contribution. Strained strength believes control is the only safety. You do not lose dignity when someone stands beside you. You do not lose competence when another person carries part of the task. You do not lose independence when you participate in fair cooperation. Receiving can be an expression of relationship rather than evidence of weakness. It can say, "I trust this person to contribute." It can say, "I do not have to perform in vulnerability." It can say, "We are both permitted to matter here." The old fear may still insist that accepting creates obligation. You can answer with boundaries. You can accept kindness without promising unlimited availability. You can appreciate support without agreeing to future demands. You can say thank you without saying yes to something else. You can receive one thing without opening every part of your life. You can let a clear exchange remain clear. Boundaries do not spoil generosity. They protect it from becoming resentment. When you know that you can say no later, it becomes safer to say yes now. When you know that gratitude does not remove your voice, support becomes easier to consider. When you know that you can ask what is expected, uncertainty becomes smaller. This is a practical form of self-trust. You may also feel guilt when your life becomes easier than it once was. The inner mirror may show an old loyalty. People you love may still be struggling. Your family may have worked under conditions you no longer face. Someone may have sacrificed so that you could have options. You may carry the memory of people who deserved more support than they received. Your heart may interpret your improvement as separation. You may fear that comfort places you on the other side of an invisible line. This can create a strange response. You would sparky toward change, but when change comes closer, you interrupt it. You spend without care because keeping feels disloyal. You give beyond your capacity because holding anything feels selfish. You hide your progress because being seen feels like leaving others behind. Loyalty is not proven by repeating pain. You can honor sacrifice by using the opportunity it created. You can remember difficult years without recreating them. You can care about others without refusing stability for yourself. You can remain connected without matching every condition. A dancer does not honor a teacher by remaining at the first lesson forever. The work is honored through development. Each correction received becomes part of a fuller movement. The people who truly wanted you to be well do not need you to remain afraid in order to remember them. You can carry their values forward in a form that includes greater steadiness. You can be generous with thought. You can help within clear limits. You can share knowledge. You can open a door without carrying every person through it. You can offer encouragement without taking responsibility for another person's decisions. You can remain compassionate without reducing your own life to prove that you understand suffering. There is a difference between compassion and self-punishment. Compassion sees pain and responds where it can. Self-punishment creates more pain and calls it loyalty. One contributes, the other repeats. You are learning to choose contribution. This may require a new relationship with guilt. Guilt is useful when it points toward a real value you have violated. If you have acted dishonestly, ignored a clear responsibility, or caused harm, guilt can invite repair. Learn what happened. Acknowledge it. Correct what can be corrected. Change the behavior. Then let the lesson become action. Old conditioned guilt is different. It appears when you have done nothing wrong but have stepped outside a familiar role. You rest, and guilt says you are lazy. You charge fairly, and guilt says you are greedy. You decline a request, and guilt says you are uncaring. You accept praise, and guilt says you are proud. You choose a useful improvement, and guilt says you have forgotten what matters. This guilt is not always moral wisdom. Sometimes it is the discomfort of alignment. The body is adjusting to a position in which you no longer abandon yourself. You can ask one direct question when guilt appears. What value have I actually violated? If the answer is none, You do not need to invent a punishment. You may only be feeling the tension of doing something new. Let the discomfort exist without allowing it to rewrite the decision. You can say, I feel guilty, and I'm still permitted to keep this boundary. You can say, I feel exposed, and my request was still fair. You can say, I feel unfamiliar with support, and the support is still healthy, yo. You can say, I feel concern about others, and I do not need to harm myself to prove that concern. The goal is not to become indifferent. The goal is to stop using emotional discomfort as automatic evidence that you have done something wrong. The mirror offers facts. What did you say? What did you agree to? What was requested? What was fair? What limit did you communicate? What value guided you? When you look accurately, the old accusation loses some of its force. You may see that you were respectful. You may see that the other person was disappointed but not harmed. You may see that the request exceeded your capacity. You may see that your support had already been generous. You may see that protecting one responsibility required declining another. You may see that your choice was not cruel. It was clear. Clarity can feel severe when you are accustomed to over-explaining. A direct no may feel incomplete. A short answer may feel unkind. A boundary without a long apology may feel dangerous. Yet, over-explaining often comes from the hope that the other person will approve of your limit. If they approve, you can feel innocent. If they object, you begin negotiating against yourself. Your boundary does not need universal agreement to be valid. You can listen to feedback. You can review your choice. You can correct yourself when necessary. You do not have to surrender a thoughtful decision merely because someone prefers a different one. This is part of remaining yourself while your capacity grows. Greater opportunity often brings more requests. Greater skill can bring more expectations. Greater visibility can bring more opinions. Without boundaries, the very improvement you wanted can become another source of strain. With boundaries, you can participate without disappearing. You can decide how much time a role deserves. You can ask what support comes with responsibility. You can clarify the scope before agreeing. You can refuse urgency that is not yours. You can protect recovery time. You can choose what will not be sacrificed. These are not signs that you fear growth. They are signs that you intend to meet it responsibly. Affirmations walk beside these actions. They do not replace them. A calm inner sentence can help you enter a conversation, but the conversation still matters. A stronger sense of worth can help you review a budget without shame, but the numbers still need attention. A practice of openness can help you ask for guidance, but the guidance should come from someone qualified for the issue. A sense of possibility can help you pursue fair work, but skills, preparation, communication, and follow-through still matter. Inner alignment and real action belong together. The mirror teaches this every day. Seeing the position is not the same as correcting it. The dancer observes, then moves. You can observe the fear and then take a grounded step. You can review the agreement. You can ask for the terms in writing. You can set a limit. You can compare options. You can seek professional guidance. You can make a plan. You can communicate earlier. You can choose not to proceed. You can act without turning action into panic. There is dignity in practical care. It does not make your inner work less meaningful. It gives your inner work a place to live. You may repeat, "I align with more and remain myself," then demonstrate that alignment by protecting your time. You may repeat it, then ask a clear question. You may repeat it, then accept appropriate assistance. You may repeat it, then decline an arrangement that requires self-betrayal. The sentence becomes believable through these lived corrections. Not because life obeys every wish, because you begin obeying your values more consistently. The person in the mirror becomes someone you recognize, someone who can want without grabbing, someone who can accept without surrendering, someone who can give without disappearing, someone who can grow without pretending to be invulnerable, someone who can make a mistake without destroying self-respect. This is a steadier way to stand. You do not need to take more than is right. You do not need to refuse what is right. You do not need to make guilt your guide. You can let facts, values, capacity, and care decide together. Consider one area where guilt has been louder than truth. It may appear around asking for fair treatment. It may appear around rest. It may appear around accepting help. Perhaps it appears around protecting your schedule. Perhaps it appears when you think about improving your surroundings. Look at the situation plainly. What have you been calling selfish that may actually be responsible? What have you been calling excessive that may actually be appropriate? What have you been refusing because the old posture feels more familiar? Do not answer with pressure. Let honesty be enough. Then return to the smaller line. I am becoming safer with having more. More time does not require waste. More support does not require dependence. More clarity does not require coldness. More rest does not require laziness. More choice does not require arrogance. More visibility does not require performance. More capacity does not require endless responsibility. You are learning to hold what supports you without tightening around it. You are learning to remain open without becoming unprotected. You are learning to value yourself without ranking yourself above anyone else. You are learning that dignity belongs in both giving and receiving. If this is your first day practicing this new position, you may leave a simple day one check-in in the comments. Let it be a record of your willingness, not a promise of perfection. Day one can mean one pause, one clear answer, one accepted kindness, one boundary kept, one moment without apology. That is enough practice for today. The mirror does not demand a finished performance. It asks for presence. Stand before it with your shoulders released. Let your breath move without permission from fear. See the person who has worked hard to remain safe. See the person who is now learning another way. No accusation, no performance, only alignment. You can keep your tenderness. You can keep your standards. You can keep your history. You can keep your voice. You can welcome support and remain discerning. You can experience improvement and remain grounded. You can hold more responsibility and ask for more support. You can decline what is unhealthy without closing yourself to what is good. The old guilt may speak again. Let it speak. Then check the reflection. Did you act with care? Did you remain honest? Did you respect your capacity? Did you protect what matters? Did you choose from clarity rather than punishment? If you did, remain in your position. Do not bend merely because the old posture is calling you back. Your body may tremble before it trusts the correction. Your voice may feel unfamiliar before it becomes steady. Your answer may feel too direct before it begins to feel clean. Stay with the practice. The mirror is not condemning you. It is showing that you are learning to stand without giving yourself away. You do not need to repeat a sentence until it becomes empty. Repetition is most useful when each return helps the body experience a slightly different position. The dancer does not practice by becoming numb. The dancer returns with attention. One repetition reveals the hands. Another reveals the spine. Another reveals where the breath becomes tight. The movement may look similar from outside, but inwardly the alignment keeps becoming clearer. Let these next statements work in that way. Do not force every line to feel true. Do not measure yourself by immediate agreement. Let each sentence meet the part of you that is ready for it. Some will feel familiar, some may create resistance, some may seem almost too simple. The mirror does not demand one reaction. It only reflects what is present. When a line brings ease, stay with it. When a line brings tension, soften your posture. When a line feels distant, change it inwardly to, I am learning. You are not trying to perform certainty. You are practicing a more supportive position. Before the shorter lines begin, return once more to the central sentence. I align with more and remain myself. Let the words become steady. I align with more and remain myself. Let your shoulders remain free. I align with more and remain myself. Now let the statements fall one at a time. I am learning to trust my own alignment. I can consider growth without rushing. I can welcome support without losing my voice. I am safe to make thoughtful choices. I can ask clearly and remain kind. I can rest without proving exhaustion first. I respect the work I have done. I let my contribution have honest value. I accept appreciation without reducing myself. I can be visible without performing perfection. I can grow while staying connected to my values. I am becoming more comfortable with fair exchange. I can protect my time without guilt. I can pause before giving an answer. I trust myself to ask useful questions. I can learn what I do not yet know. I release the demand to be fully prepared for every step. I can adjust without calling myself a failure. I make room for support that respects my freedom. I can decline what requires self-betrayal. I welcome clearer choices. I let responsible ease belong in my life. I can experience progress without predicting punishment. I no longer need struggle to prove my worth. I can be grateful and still choose improvement. I allow my needs to become visible to me. I speak about my needs with dignity. I can hold a boundary after another person reacts. I trust my capacity to review and correct. I can accept help without surrendering authority. I remain equal while receiving. I remain grounded while growing. I keep my values close. I let support be clean. I let praise remain. I let rest count. I choose clear terms. I honor my capacity. I respect my limits. I welcome steadiness. I practice openness. I keep discernment. I stay present. I stand aligned. I remain myself. More can feel safe. Support can feel safe. Clarity can feel safe. Rest can feel safe. Choice can feel safe. I can adjust. I can ask. I can pause. I can learn. I can choose. I can receive. I can remain. I'm 2.0's. I am here. Let the final words become smaller, not weaker. I am here. In the studio, the quietest correction can change the entire movement. A slight release in the jaw changes the neck. A steadier focus changes balance. A small change in weight changes the next step. You do not need a dramatic declaration to create a meaningful shift. A simple sentence, spoken with honesty, may help you meet one decision differently. One different decision may create evidence that the old fear is not the only option. evidence matters. The mind that has learned to expect danger may not be persuaded by beautiful language alone. It watches what happens after the language. Do you speak clearly when the moment arrives? Do you review instead of avoid? Do you remain steady after stating a limit? Do you accept something supportive without immediately pushing it away? Do you let your actions agree with the new sentence? Each aligned action adds credibility to your inner voice. You become easier to trust from within. This trust is not created through perfection. It is created through return. You may leave the studio of your practice and fall into an old posture later in the day. You may apologize unnecessarily. You may agree too quickly. You may reduce your request. You may criticize yourself after a moment of visibility. Return. Do not turn one old response into proof that nothing has changed. Look again. Correct again. Continue. A dancer who loses balance does not declare the entire practice meaningless. The loss of balance becomes part of learning balance. The body receives information and tries again with greater awareness. Your moments of hesitation can serve the same purpose. When you catch yourself shrinking, ask what position you were trying to protect. Were you protecting belonging? Were you trying to prevent criticism? Were you avoiding the responsibility of being seen? Were you attempting to keep another person comfortable? Name the purpose without accusation. Then choose whether the purpose still deserves control. You may decide that belonging based on your silence is too costly. You may decide that criticism can be survived. You may decide that visibility can be approached in small steps. You may decide that another person's comfort cannot always be purchased with your self-respect. This is how the reflection becomes practical. You are not staring at yourself endlessly. You are using what you see to move more honestly. There may be parts of your life where the old position has become deeply established. Do not demand immediate ease in those places. A body held in tension for years may not release in one practice. It may feel vulnerable when the tension begins to soften. Go slowly enough to remain present. You can increase honesty gradually. You can ask for support in one area before opening another. You can practice a boundary in a less charged situation. You can state a preference where the risk is small. You can let your system gather evidence that clear expression does not always lead to loss. Small practice is not avoidance when it is intentional. It is training. The dancer learns the position before adding speed. You can learn clarity before asking yourself to use it under intense pressure. You can write down the sentence you want to say. You can speak it aloud while looking at your reflection. You can hear whether your voice rises at the end as though asking permission. You can hear whether you fill every pause. You can hear whether you soften the request until its meaning disappears. Then you can adjust. A slower pace, a fuller breath, a direct sentence. No unnecessary defense. The practice may be, I need time to review this. The practice may be, that amount does not work for me. The practice may be, I appreciate the offer, and I need clarification. The practice may be, I cannot take that on. The practice may be, thank you. I am glad my work helped. Each sentence can be spoken without aggression. Clarity does not require hardness. You are not learning to dominate the room. You are learning not to leave yourself outside it. The mirror shows when your face asks for forgiveness before your words have even begun. It shows when the shoulders fold inward. It shows when you smile to cover discomfort. This is not a reason to criticize your expression. It is a chance to recognize how strongly your body has learned to protect connection. You can thank that response. Then let the body try another position. Feet steady, chest unforced, hands relaxed, eyes present, breath moving. The words do not need to be loud. They need to belong to you. The same alignment can guide how you respond internally after making a choice. Many people speak clearly in the moment and then punish themselves later. The conversation ends, but the inner argument continues. Did I ask too much? Was I rude? Should I have agreed? What will they think? The body returns to the old position even after the boundary has been made. This is where aftercare matters. Look at the facts again. Was your language respectful? Was the request reasonable? Did you tell the truth? Did you protect a real need? If so, let the discomfort pass without reopening the decision solely to escape the feeling. You can feel uncertain and keep your word to yourself. You can feel guilty and remain aligned. You can feel another person's disappointment without treating it as an emergency. The emotion may move through slowly. You do not have to solve it by abandoning your position. This may be one of the deepest practices in your healing, remaining with yourself after you have acted differently. The old pattern expects you to return. It expects the apology. It expects the concession. It expects you to bend until the familiar shape is restored. You can remain, not rigidly, not proudly, quietly. You can say, I have reviewed this. My answer remains the same. You can say, I care about you, and I cannot do that. You can say, I understand your perspective, and this is what I need. These sentences preserve both connection and self-respect when the relationship is healthy enough to hold both. Not every relationship will welcome your alignment. That truth can be painful. Some people prefer the version of you who never says no. Some people feel secure when you need less. Some people may call your growth distance because your exhaustion once made you more available. Their reaction does not automatically mean you are wrong. It may mean the relationship is adjusting to a position in which you are more visible. Let time reveal what can adapt. Let behavior reveal what is respectful. Let your own values remain part of the assessment. You do not need to decide everything in one emotional moment. You can observe. You can ask questions. You can watch whether the other person makes room for your humanity. You can see whether care moves in both directions. The mirror remains a teacher. It reflects the relationship as well as your own posture. Are you always the one adjusting? Are you always the one apologizing? Are you always the one carrying the discomfort? Are you always the one expected to understand? Balanced connection requires more than one person's alignment. You can do your part. You cannot perform another person's. This understanding reduces the fear that having more will automatically isolate you. Healthy connection does not depend on permanent self-reduction. A relationship capable of depth can make room for development, changing needs, clearer limits, and new responsibilities. Some relationships may become stronger when you stop hiding. Some people may feel relieved when you begin speaking directly. Some may have been waiting for an honest conversation. Some may respect you more when your yes and no become reliable. You do not have to assume that every change will create loss. That assumption may belong to an older room. Today, you can watch what actually happens. This is another form of alignment, letting present evidence update the inner reflection. The past can inform you. It does not have to overrule what is happening now. You may discover that support can arrive without control. You may discover that appreciation can be sincere. You may discover that a fair request can be met with respect. You may discover that a boundary can create clarity instead of abandonment. You may discover that a person who cares for you does not need you to remain depleted. Let these experiences register. Do not dismiss them because they do not match the old warning. The mind can be strangely loyal to painful expectations. It may explain away every positive example while treating every disappointment as proof. Correct the imbalance. Let helpful evidence count. Let respectful experiences count. Let your own steady response count. Let the moments when you remained yourself count. The dancer studies both errors and improvements. Without recognizing improvement, practice becomes endless criticism. The body needs to know what is working so it can repeat it. You also need to recognize what is working. You paused before agreeing. That counts. You asked for clarification. That counts. You accepted a kind word. That counts. You protected 1 hour. That counts. You made a decision without attacking yourself. That counts. You remained present while discomfort passed. That counts. You looked directly at a practical issue. That counts. You sought qualified help. That counts. You stopped calling every adjustment failure. That counts. Progress becomes more stable when it is acknowledged accurately, not exaggerated, not performed. Seen. The mirror shows the change because you are willing to look. You may still have much to practice. That does not erase the movement already made. You may still feel tension. That does not mean you are in the old position completely. You may still want reassurance. That does not make you incapable of self-trust. You may still need support. That does not remove your strength. Human growth is not a perfect line across the studio wall. It is repeated movement, correction, recovery, and return. Let this truth soften the pressure. You are not late. You are not failing because the work continues. You are building a posture that can support a wider life. That takes patience. It also takes honesty. Do not use patience to avoid the next step. Do not use honesty to attack yourself. Let both serve alignment. Ask yourself what one movement belongs to today. Not 10. 1. One question, one boundary, one review, one request, one accepted kindness, one uninterrupted period of rest, one moment of letting praise remain. Choose the movement that brings your outer action closer to your inner values. Then let it be enough for this practice. You can return tomorrow. You can stand before the mirror again. You can see what has shifted. You can see what still tightens. You can continue without turning the process into a trial. The shorter affirmations can return whenever needed. I keep discernment. I welcome steadiness. I honor my capacity. I let praise remain. I remain myself. Let them become practical companions, not decorations, not demands, reminders of position. When fear pulls the shoulders inward, remember, I remain myself. When guilt tries to reopen a clear decision, I honor my capacity. When support feels unfamiliar, I keep discernment. When improvement awakens old alarm, I welcome steadiness. When appreciation reaches you, I let praise remain. These lines are small enough to carry into ordinary moments. They do not need ceremony. They can be spoken before a call, after a message, beside a decision, or while standing quietly before your own reflection. The studio does not follow the dancer everywhere. The alignment does. That is the purpose of practice. Eventually, the body remembers what it learned in front of the mirror. The dancer moves through another room and still senses the center. The reflection has become an inner reference. You are building that reference now. A place within that knows the difference between fear and discernment. A place that knows the difference between guilt and responsibility. A place that knows the difference between humility and disappearance. A place that knows the difference between support and control. A place that knows the difference between more and too much. You can consult that place. You can strengthen it. You can return to it when the day becomes noisy. The first waking threshold began this practice. The long mirror has carried it forward. Now the correction can live in motion. You do not have to remain standing still to stay aligned. You can move. You can choose. You can meet the day as it is. You can keep your center while the circumstances around you change. Take one unforced breath. Let the jaw release. Let the shoulders lower. Let the eyes become steady. Let the hands rest. No performance is required. No final proof is needed. You are practicing. You are returning. You are learning to stand in a life that does not require you to become smaller before you are permitted to enter it. Alignment is not something you complete once and never revisit. It becomes a relationship. Some days you will stand clearly inside your own choices. Your voice will feel steady. Your limits will feel natural. Support will reach you without awakening an immediate need to defend, repay, minimize, or retreat. Other days, the old posture will return. You may tense before asking. You may doubt a fair decision. You may feel guilty after protecting your time. You may become uneasy when life offers a little more room. The return of an old reaction does not erase the work. It shows you where practice is still becoming embodied. The dancer does not leave the studio because yesterday's balance feels harder today. The dancer returns to the mirror, sees what is present, and begins from there. You can do the same. Begin from what is true, not from what you think should already be true, not from the version of yourself you are trying to impress, not from the fear that progress must look perfect to be real. Begin from the position you are actually holding. If you are braced, acknowledge the bracing. If you are afraid, acknowledge the fear. If you are uncertain, name the uncertainty. Then ask what adjustment would bring you closer to your center. The adjustment may be physical. Release the shoulders, unclench the hands, let the breath reach lower, place both feet firmly beneath you. The adjustment may be practical. Read the details again. Ask for clarification. Delay the answer. Speak with someone qualified. Review your capacity. The adjustment may be relational. State what you need. Decline what is not yours. Accept what is freely offered. Stop explaining after the message is already clear. The adjustment may be inward. Replace accusation with information. Replace prophecy with present facts. Replace automatic guilt with an honest review. Replace the demand for certainty with one responsible next step. You do not have to correct everything at once. One aligned movement changes the next movement. A steadier breath affects the sentence you speak. A clearer sentence affects the conversation. A clearer conversation affects the choice. A more thoughtful choice becomes evidence that you can stay with yourself. This is how a wider life becomes less threatening. You do not conquer fear through force. You reduce its authority through repeated experiences of remaining present. You let yourself discover that a good development can happen without destroying your character. You let yourself discover that a boundary can be kept without making you cruel. You let yourself discover that support can arrive without taking your power. You let yourself discover that uncertainty can be faced without immediate retreat. Discovery changes you more deeply than pressure. Pressure says, "Believe this now." Discovery says, let us find out what is possible. You can live inside that question with dignity. What becomes possible when I stop shrinking first? You may speak earlier. You may ask more directly. You may rest before reaching collapse. You may seek guidance while the situation is still manageable. You may recognize an unfair arrangement sooner. You may let your work be seen. You may accept a useful opportunity and learn as you go. You may become less impressed by panic and more loyal to preparation. These shifts do not guarantee a specific result. They change the quality of your participation. You meet life with more of yourself present. Your judgment is clearer because shame is not using all of your attention. Your words are cleaner because fear is not filling every silence. Your choices become more honest because belonging is no longer purchased through constant self-reduction. That is meaningful change. The old pattern may still try to persuade you that safety lives behind you. It may point toward the version of your life where you knew how to survive. It may say that familiar strain is easier than unfamiliar support. Look into the long mirror. See the full position. The old stance was not effortless. It required you to watch constantly. It required you to anticipate other people's needs. It required you to hide disappointment. It required you to lower expectations before anyone else could. It required you to carry discomfort quietly. It required you to make struggle appear normal. That position may be familiar, but it is not free. The newer position asks something different. It asks you to tolerate being seen. It asks you to speak before resentment forms. It asks you to let kindness reach you. It asks you to remain still long enough for appreciation to settle. It asks you to stop turning every moment of relief into preparation for pain. This may feel vulnerable. Vulnerability is not always danger. Sometimes vulnerability is the sensation of no longer wearing the armor that once became your posture. Armor can protect. It can also limit movement. The dancer cannot move freely while bracing every joint. You cannot participate fully while treating every good possibility as something that must first be defended against. You are learning when protection is needed and when it can soften. This discernment is more mature than permanent guarding. Permanent guarding assumes that every room is the old room. Discernment looks at the room you are in. Who is present? What has been said? What evidence is available? What choice remains yours? What support can be requested? What boundary can be established? These questions return you to now. Now is where your agency lives. The past contains lessons. The future contains possibilities. The present contains the next movement. Stay close to the next movement. You may not know how every part will unfold. you can still know how you want to stand. With honesty, with care, with an open but discerning mind, with respect for your own capacity, with willingness to learn, with enough steadiness to remain in the conversation. Your center is not a place where fear disappears. It is the place from which fear can be heard without being obeyed automatically. From your center, you can say, "This concern is worth examining. This prediction is not a fact. This offer deserves consideration. This request is not right for me. This support is healthy to accept. This decision needs more time. This mistake can be corrected. This improvement does not require an apology." The sentences are plain. Plain language often carries the greatest strength. It does not decorate the truth. It lets the truth stand. You can practice this for the next several days without turning it into another demand. On the first day, observe where your posture changes around support, praise, opportunity, responsibility, or rest. Do not correct everything. See clearly. On the next day, let one kind statement remain unanswered by criticism. Receive it. On another day, state one preference before adapting to everyone else. Let your preference exist in the room. Later, pause before an automatic yes. Give yourself enough time to hear your real answer. On another day, review one practical matter you have been avoiding. Use facts. Seek guidance where needed. Then let one period of rest be complete without adding punishment afterward. By the end of the practice, look again. Do not ask whether you became fearless. Ask whether you became more honest. Did you catch the old reaction sooner? Did you remain present for one more breath? Did you let one supportive experience count? Did you keep one boundary? Did you speak one sentence more clearly? These are signs of alignment. A 7-day practice is not a final test. It is a way of gathering evidence. You are showing yourself that a different position can be held in ordinary life. The evidence may be quiet. Quiet evidence still matters. You did not apologize for a reasonable request. You did not lower your expectation before hearing the answer. You let someone help. You rested. You reviewed the facts. You asked. You declined. You stayed. The mirror records these changes without exaggeration. It also shows where more care is needed. Perhaps you can accept praise but still struggle to ask. Perhaps you can set a boundary but punish yourself afterward. Perhaps you can welcome support from one person but not another. This is useful information. It helps you choose the next practice. Growth becomes less frightening when it is specific. You are not becoming a completely different person overnight. You are learning one more way to remain yourself. You are not taking an unknown leap into a life you cannot control. You are making one thoughtful correction. You are not being asked to welcome every form of more. You are becoming capable of recognizing which forms support your values. More rest may help you become more patient. More clarity may help you become more responsible. More support may help you complete what matters without depletion. More confidence may help you speak before a problem grows. More space may help you hear your own judgment. More choice may help you leave what repeatedly causes harm. These forms of expansion can strengthen the person you already wish to be. They do not pull you away from yourself. They help you live with less contradiction. The old fear may say that having more will reveal something unworthy in you. A wider life can also reveal discipline. It can reveal generosity with boundaries. It can reveal thoughtful leadership. It can reveal creativity. It can reveal patience. It can reveal the ability to share without emptying yourself. Circumstances do not decide your character alone. Daily choices shape how your character is expressed. You can choose again. You can correct. You can return. This is why you do not need to fear one imperfect response. You are not locked into a single movement. The studio remains open. The mirror remains available. The teacher within you remains capable of kindness. You can look at an error and say, "This needs adjustment." You do not have to say, "This proves I am unworthy of growth." You can look at an overcommitment and say, "I agreed too quickly." You do not have to say, "I can never handle responsibility." You can look at discomfort after receiving and say, "This is unfamiliar." You do not have to say, "I should reject what supports me." Accurate reflection protects you from extreme conclusions. It keeps one moment in its proper size. The dancer does not let one misstep define the entire body. You do not have to let one reaction define your future. Remain teachable. Remain compassionate. Remain willing to correct. That is enough. There may also be moments when having less is the wiser choice. An opportunity may demand too much. An offer may carry hidden conditions. A role may conflict with your health, values, relationships, or capacity. Alignment does not always move toward expansion. Sometimes it steps back. Sometimes it declines. Sometimes it simplifies. Sometimes it releases what looks impressive but feels wrong. The purpose is not endless accumulation. The purpose is freedom from automatic fear. You want to be able to choose no because the answer is no, not because every possibility awakens an old alarm. You want to be able to choose yes because the answer is yes, not because you are trying to prove courage. A clear no and a clear yes can both come from alignment. The mirror helps you see the difference. Fearful refusal feels contracted before the facts are considered. Aligned refusal feels clear after the facts are considered. Fearful agreement rushes to secure approval. Aligned agreement includes awareness of capacity and terms. You can learn the texture of each response. Your body will become a more accurate source of information as you stop treating every sensation as a command. A tight chest may say, pause. It does not always say, run. A fast thought may say, seek clarity. It does not always say, decline. A wave of guilt may say, an old role is being challenged. It does not always say, you have acted wrongly. Pause long enough to interpret the signal. This pause is part of your power. You do not owe urgency to every emotion. You can breathe before assigning meaning. You can review before acting. You can ask before assuming. You can return to the mirror before correcting yourself into the old position. The first minutes after waking can continue to support this practice. Before messages and duties enter, let one sentence arrive. I align with more and remain myself. Do not demand emotion from it. Let it be the first position. Let the shoulders understand it. Let the breath make space for it. Let the eyes open without searching immediately for threat. I align with more and remain myself. Say you may place your feet on the floor and repeat the smaller bridge. I am becoming safer with having more. Then choose one quality to carry into the day. Clarity, patience, discernment, courage, restraint, openness, self-respect. You do not need all of them at once. One quality can guide one day. When the old reaction appears, return to that quality. If clarity is your practice, ask for facts. If patience is your practice, delay the rushed answer. If discernment is your practice, examine the terms. If courage is your practice, speak the honest sentence. If restraint is your practice, do not over-explain. If openness is your practice, let one healthy offer be considered. If self-respect is your practice, keep the boundary you already made. This gives the affirmation a body. It becomes visible through action. You do not need to announce your growth. You can live it quietly. Let the mirror show you what is changing. A steadier gaze, a clearer voice, a pause where an apology once appeared, a boundary held without hostility, a kindness accepted without immediate repayment, a practical step taken without shame. These are real movements. They are worthy of recognition. Look directly at the person who has learned to survive by expecting less. Do not reject that person. Say thank you. Thank you for protecting me when I did not have many choices. Thank you for learning how to adapt. Thank you for carrying me here. Then offer a new instruction. We can choose with more information now. We can ask for help. We can protect our limits. We can remain ourselves. This is not a dismissal of the past. It is an update. The old response does not have to be destroyed. It can become less responsible for decisions it was never meant to manage forever. Your wiser voice can lead. The voice that considers context. The voice that can balance hope with planning. The voice that respects both desire and consequence. The voice that knows when to ask. The voice that knows when to stop. The voice that can welcome support and still see clearly. Let that voice become familiar. Speak to yourself as a patient teacher would speak in the studio. Again, a little steadier. Release the tension. Keep your center. Try once more. No humiliation. No dramatic verdict. Correction. Breath. Return. This is how trust is built. This is how your inner reflection becomes less critical and more useful. This is how the fear begins to lose its claim over every doorway. You do not have to prove that you deserve a wider range of choices. You need to meet those choices with responsibility. You do not have to become someone else to experience greater support. You need to keep listening to your values. You do not have to promise that you will never feel afraid. You need to remember that fear is not the whole reflection. There is also wisdom. There is experience. There is judgment. There is resilience. There is the ability to learn. There is the right to pause. There is the power to choose. Let these parts of you stand in the mirror too. Do not let the frightened part occupy the entire surface. See the whole person, the person who has endured, the person who has adjusted, the person who has learned, the person who can continue, the person who can be supported, the person who can remain grounded, the person who does not need to disappear in order to be good. Stand there now. Let the breath become even. Let the face soften. Let the body stop preparing to be accused. You are not on trial. You are in practice. You are not being graded. You are becoming more aligned. You are not required to perform certainty. You are permitted to choose with care. The reflection is clear enough. The next step is small enough. The day is still open. Carry the central sentence with you. I align with more and remain myself. Carry the bridge when the central sentence feels too far away. I am becoming safer with having more. Carry the practical truth beneath both. I can move carefully without moving backward. Then take one step that agrees with what you have practiced. One message, one pause, one question, one boundary, one accepted kindness, one honest answer. Let the step be real. Let it be yours. Let it be enough. Before you leave this practice, let one final rehearsal become concrete. Imagine that the next opportunity does not arrive with certainty. It arrives as a conversation, a request, a possibility, or a choice that asks you to become visible. The old posture begins at once. Your shoulders draw inward. Your thoughts move faster. You prepare to decline before you have listened fully. This time, you do not force the reaction away. You see it in the inner mirror. You recognize the familiar placement. Then you make one adjustment. You give yourself time. Time is not avoidance when it is used for clear consideration. A pause can protect you from both fearful refusal and anxious agreement. It can help you hear the actual terms instead of answering the history attached to them. You may say, "I would like to think about this." You may say, "Please send me the details." You may say, "What would be expected of me?" You may say, "What support is available?" You may say, "I will respond after I've reviewed my capacity." These sentences keep you in the room without requiring an immediate performance. They create a space where your adult judgment can enter. Then look at the reflection again. Are you leaning toward the answer because you fear disappointing someone? Are you leaning away because being trusted feels unfamiliar? Are you holding your breath because you believe one decision must determine everything? Return in your weight to the center. A thoughtful choice can include conditions. A yes can include limits. A no can include respect. A trial can include a review date. A responsibility can include a request for resources. You do not have to accept the entire future in one moment. You are deciding what belongs to the next step. This is how the fear becomes smaller than the choice. Not because it disappears, but because the choice is examined with more than fear alone. Your experience is present. Your values are present. Your practical needs are present. Your right to ask is present. Your right to decline is present. Your capacity to learn is present. The whole person is making the decision now. If the answer is yes, let it be an aligned yes. Do not rush to prove that you deserve the opportunity by giving more than was requested. Do not begin by sacrificing the very structure that would help you succeed. Clarify the role. Protect the time needed to do it well. Ask what you need to ask. Let preparation replace overextension. If the answer is no, let it be an aligned no. Do not turn the decision into evidence that you are incapable. One choice may be wrong for your schedule, your values, your energy, or your present responsibilities. Declining it does not close every future door. It demonstrates that you are learning to distinguish expansion from strain. If the answer is not yet, let that answer remain honest. You may need information, training, support, or a clearer arrangement. Readiness can be developed. A pause can become preparation rather than permanent postponement when you decide what you will do next. Name the next step. Ask the question. Gather the information. Practice the skill. Set the date to review. A defined next step keeps caution from becoming an endless hiding place. The studio mirror offers the same lesson whenever a movement is not ready for full speed. The dancer does not pretend the foundation is complete. The dancer also does not abandon the movement. The position is practiced carefully until steadiness grows. You can practice opportunity in the same way. You can practice being appreciated. You can practice having a clear limit. You can practice letting another person wait for your answer. You can practice asking for fair conditions. You can practice remaining calm after speaking. Each practice gives your inner system a new reference. The reference becomes, I did not disappear. I asked, and I remained myself. I paused, and the world continued. I said no, and I stayed worthy of respect. I said yes, and I kept my boundaries. I accepted support, and I kept my voice. This is the evidence the guarded part of you has needed. It does not need grand promises. It needs lived moments that contradict the old conclusion with care. Let those moments be remembered accurately. Do not tell yourself that they were too small to matter. The smallest corrections are often the ones the body can repeat. A calm breath before answering, a sentence without apology, a request stated at its full size, a compliment received without argument, a practical review completed before worry takes over. These are not minor when the old pattern depended on their absence. They are new movements. They are the beginning of fluency. You may not feel graceful while learning them. The first clear boundary may feel stiff. The first accepted kindness may feel exposed. The first honest request may make your voice unsteady. Let the voice be unsteady and honest. Let the posture be new and imperfect. Alignment is not measured by how effortless the first attempt looks. It is measured by whether your action agrees more closely with what you know is true. You know that your time matters. You know that your needs deserve language. You know that support can be examined instead of automatically refused. You know that practical care is not selfishness. You know that your values do not vanish when your circumstances improve. Stand inside that knowledge. Do not inflate it. Do not diminish it. Let it be proportionate and clear. The person in the mirror does not need to become fearless to become trustworthy. That person needs to keep returning to truth after fear speaks. This is the promise you can make without controlling any external result. I will not abandon myself before I know what is being asked. I will look. I will listen. I will consider. I will choose. Then I will remain available for correction without turning correction into shame. This promise is strong because it concerns your own participation. It does not ask life to remove every difficult moment. It asks you to meet each moment with a clearer center. Carry that center into the next ordinary hour. Let it guide the way you answer a message. Let it guide the way you speak about your work. Let it guide the way you accept a pause. Let it guide the way you protect your attention. You are not waiting for a perfect stage. The practice is already moving with you. The next room can become another place where alignment is lived. The long mirror has not asked you to admire every movement. It has asked you to see clearly enough to adjust. You have looked, you have corrected, you have returned. Now you can move beyond the reflection while keeping the alignment within. I rise aligned, keeping my center clear. Keep rising. Life is with you. Step forward without shrinking from your own reflection.